Today, we'll take a look at 3 of the statements Elon Musk made about Tesla and what really matters. So first, Elon reiterated that it's the Tesla factory that is the actual product. He called out the Cybercab line in particular, and then added that autonomy and Optimus are what really matters. With the economic jockeying happening right now, Tesla's factory building skills are now of national importance more than ever. This comes as Tesla has posted over 80 jobs related to the Optimus humanoid robot more than ever before. Second, Elon made a number of statements saying how Teslas are the most American-made cars ever, and a surprise CNN also confirmed such. Finally, in another statement, Elon said that by any definition whatsoever, Tesla is the most vertically integrated auto manufacturer in America. So we've got Brian White here with us. Brian's the best Tesla retail analyst I'm aware of, and we're going to ask him all these questions about the factory as a product, vertically integrated, American-made, these kind of points. Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate you joining me.
Great to be here. It's there's a whole lot of confusion, so let's just cut through it, huh?
Yeah. Well, I did want to ask you these questions because I know you've done videos on this on your channel, FutureAza. Folks, check him out there. So let's get started with, obviously this economic warfare that we're right in the middle of at this point. And Alexander Mertz made this point saying that this may be the moment when Tesla's factory building skills must become a product with national importance. This whole idea of where are the products and services being made, where are the products being made? And China has had a foothold on that, the manufacturing hub for decades. And now with these tariffs, they're trying to move that to America. But can America really do this? Well, actually, yes, of course they can. Tesla has a factory in America, and it's much of it is automated, and they're still able to compete very well. So this idea that it's factory building skills, especially the ones that Tesla can do, it can become a product, national importance. Elon replied to that 100%. The Tesla factory, and then he goes, especially our next gen Cybercab line is the product. That autonomy and Optimus are what really matter. So let's pause here. We'll break this down a little bit. Let's start off with the Tesla factory is the product. Then we'll get into the other parts of his statement. Tell us what you think that means, Brian.
It's absolutely true, of course. And we've been watching this evolve since the beginning. When Tesla made the Model S, they were building a car. They were just building a car. It was a car like anything else, on a line like anything else, in a factory, not just like anything else, but it was an old car factory. When they moved to the Model 3, they had some very big ideas. We're going to automate every last step of it. And they tried to do that. We want to bring everything in-house, and they tried to do that. But the problem was they were still designing cars in the way cars had always been designed. There are a lot of parts of it that are just not ready to automate. Every car they've made since then has been one step closer to that. Can we get rid of all these other steps? Sure, let's introduce a gigapress. Let's introduce structural batteries. Let's start mounting the seats onto the battery before we put it into the car. Let's do all these little things. And the Cybercab takes it to the next level, to the point where the Cybercab line, let's say it's done and it's ready to start building around the world. They will build them in Austin at a ridiculous pace, for sure, but the line can be copied and moved other places. It doesn't have to be huge. The cost savings will be there whether it's large or small. The only parts of it that require outrageous volume is the gigacastings, the structural front and rear underbody sections. And they could just ship those parts to the other factories. You could have a small factory in a warehouse near the port of wherever the parts are being imported. You could build a knockdown factory that would go up very quickly. A knockdown factory is where you just send in all the parts and they assemble it there on site. If that's what that particular country needs for it to be considered domestically built, it would be very easy to do. So this product, it's more like, it's less like building a master chef's restaurant and more like setting up franchises. You could do it at any scale, in any place, and it would work just about as well.
Yeah. At the same time, though, we've heard Elon and the executive team. Remember that they were an earnings call and they were laughing when they were saying, "This isn't something that a competitor could just copy." And could they license this? And they couldn't understand that because it's so integrated and so it's a skill that crosses over understanding of how to build this factory. so it's not like something anybody can just copy this thing. But Elon continues to say, right? It's the ability to create a product at cost effectively, right? He's at every single step. He questions whether or not it's needed. Take that part out. No part's better than the best part is no part. All that builds in a continuous efficiency to the point that they can pull out a cyber cab, right? In every 5 seconds. And then they plan to have cyber cabs under $15,000, maybe. Of course, he's not saying that, but that's the estimate some people are making now. These are things that if you can do that using autonomy and then soon Optimus bots, this is the competitive advantage.
Nobody else can do it. And everyone will try. But they've been trying with all of the things that Tesla has done over the years without success. Some companies get a product that kind of looks like a Tesla, except it costs a little bit more and has a deeply negative margin. That's great. You made a fake Rolex that costs more than a Rolex and isn't as good as a Rolex. That's not impressive. That's disappointing. So, it's true. You have to start. The Cybercab is a great example because you have to start with the design. Why is Cybercab going to be the most cost competitive robo-taxi out there? Because everybody else is starting with a car and then adding a bunch of stuff. When you're done, you've got 30% of the vehicle is parts and processes that shouldn't be there in the first place. Where with a Cybercab, you start with what you need and then start trimming out all the things you don't need, and then you produce it. You're going to have a 30 to 50% 50 cent per mile cost advantage because you asked the right questions before you built it.
So good points, Brian. Love that. So let's move on. So this is him saying this: the Tesla factory, especially our next gen Cybercab line, is the product. That autonomy and Optimus are what matter. So let's keep your eye on the ball. It's the factory, it's the Cybercabs, it's autonomy, it's Optimus. Okay. So one of the things we're seeing now is actually Tesla is hiring over 80 jobs related to Optimus. This is more than ever before. Of course, is Tesla going to be able to build the 5,000 bots this year? We don't know, but they're hiring for it, which is a good sign. Again, just more and more people are being hired. Here we go. Just a quick snippet here. Thoughts on the hiring of Optimus?
Are you surprised? I'm not surprised. I get a lot of, and I'm sure you see them on your channel as well, deeply cynical comments. These aren't critical comments. These are cynical. Oh, look, it walks worse than some other robot. Guys, that's a Gen 2 bot. That's a very old bot, and we're just now seeing it. That's not how it actually walks today. No company is, I'm confident no company or almost no company is showing their latest and greatest breakthrough. They're showing you just enough to keep you interested because the competition is too fierce. One guy said, well, BYD is going to have robots out by the end of this year. And where is Tesla? I said, surely you're joking. Of course, Tesla was the first to announce that they would have commercial bots out this year. And yes, but I don't believe them. Okay. I don't care. BYD bots will not be operating in the US due to, I am sure, national security reasons. And with that alone, you've got these very insular markets that are that will not have a lot of competition overlap. So if Tesla doesn't release bots this year, is it the end of the world? No, the addressable market remains the same size. If somebody else floods the market first with cheap robots, does that mean any particular company is out? If Tesla does it this year, does that mean BYD's out? No, the market is quasi-infinite. So these things are happening. And the fact that we're not seeing progress sometimes is the smoke behind the fire. It's like when right now we're not seeing a lot of releases of FSD for you and me, and that is because they're working on getting things done for June. The fact that we're not getting releases makes me very hopeful.
Exactly. Good points. Okay, so we talked about Tesla's expertise in building factories. Hopefully more American, Western countries can do this as well. But imagine what happens when they add Optimus, a humanoid robot, to the factory production concept. And it's going to be unbelievably more advanced than anything that's out there, including the cheap labor Chinese factories. This is truly economic warfare. So this whole idea that you need to support the companies in America. So the question now is, it was just odd. You got these people out there that are questioning whether or not Tesla is an American-made product. They don't understand that all Tesla's made in America are the most American-made vehicles, more than any other, American brands like Ford and GM and whatever they think is American. So let's. I'm going to talk about a little bit of number of, series of posts that Elon made saying such. It started off with this. Obviously, Peter Navarro was on CNN, CNBC, I think, and he was basically bashing Elon. Listen to what he said. He goes, "We all understand in the White House and the American people understand that Elon's a car manufacturer." But he goes, "But he's not a car manufacturer. He's a car assembler. In many cases, if you go to his Texas plant, a good part of the engines that he gets, which in the EV cases are the batteries, come from Japan and come from China. The electrons come." And he goes on. So he's saying this. Let's listen to this, and then we can see how and why Elon started to fight him and bash him back.
When it comes to tariffs and trade, we all understand in the White House, and the American people understand, that Elon's a car manufacturer. But he's not a car manufacturer. He's a car assembler in many cases. If you go to his Texas plant, a good part of the engines that he gets, which in the EV case is the batteries, come from Japan and come from China. The electronics come from Taiwan. The tires come. What we want, and the difference is in our thinking and Elon's on this, is that we want the tires made in Akron. We want the transmissions made in Indianapolis. We want the engines made in Flint and Saginaw, and we want the cars manufactured here. It's like this business model where BMW and Mercedes come in to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and have us assemble German engines and Austrian transmissions. That doesn't work for America. It's bad for our economics. It's bad for our national security. We want them to come here. And with Elon, it's fine. He's a car man. He's a car person. That's what he does. And he wants the cheap foreign parts, and we understand that. But we want him home. We want him home
Peter,
for our national security and economic security, and everything's good with Elon.
Okay, you kind of understand what he's trying to say there, but basically they're at odds with this tariff policy. But to say that Tesla is a car assembler, yes, that's true for all these other car companies. It's not true for Tesla. I mean, less than 5% of parts of a Tesla Model Y made in the U.S. is actually parts. You can tell me, but basically Elon replies saying Navarro is truly a moron. What he says here is demonstrably false. And then he reposted this. He said, Tesla has the most American-made cars. And he keeps attacking Navarro as dumber than a sack of bricks. And then, of course, eventually we had CNN, and we'll play that later. But what's your thoughts on this car assembler concept?
I don't know where Peter Navarro's getting this idea. It is insulting to American manufacturing. I do not believe that Sparks, Nevada is in China or Japan. Maybe I'm mistaken, but that's where the batteries come from. The motors are wound in. We've seen them wound in Fremont in Nevada, and I believe they're also made in Texas. That's the heart of the car. And the chips do come from Taiwan. Most sophisticated chips come from Taiwan. The CHIPS Act is an initiative to bring that manufacturing back to the U.S., but throwing huge tariffs on these things because we haven't brought it back yet is a very dumb person's idea of a very good idea. And I don't understand. And the hostility, too. He sounds genuinely angry about something that he imagines is true. If I got upset over imaginary things, Herbert, there'd be no limit to how upset I could be. But fortunately, I stick with the realm of fact. And the fact is, the cars are the most American made. Honda also tops the list regularly of American made, and that's not assembled. Otherwise, it would just be 100% or 0%. No, it's the contents within it. But there are just some things that we can't make or don't make in the U.S. When people say we need to buy everything domestically, great. There's no coffee in North America. It doesn't grow here. understand how we could do that. And the reality is, if you want to onshore production, you can. It just takes time. You have to do it in a smart way.
Okay. Well, you know what? And there's a pro to this, I guess. The pro is that more people are, well, they'll listen to that. Maybe they'll agree with him. But more people might understand that Tesla is truly American made. And just we got to get that word out, right? I mean, it's going to be the least impacted by these tariffs. By the way, even if China, like people are worried about what happens if China does a counter. Well, Tesla is the most Chinese made car because they
Yes.
have 95% of all things that they use for the Chinese version of the Tesla Model Y is from the Tesla's Giga Shanghai. Same thing with Giga Europe. So it's like they are least affected by the tariff war if that happens, because Tesla knew that this might come someday. They built it as such. Local.
Yeah, it was just a good policy to begin with. Get as much of your production as local as you can. That shortens your supply chain. That reduces the amount of shipping. That saves time, which in the end saves money. Would it be? Yeah, it would have been cheaper for Tesla to build Giga Berlin as a knockdown plant, where all the parts came in from the U.S., from China, and they just assembled them there. But they didn't. They did it the smart way, which is now saving them from their own versions of tariffs and trade wars over there. That's going to insulate them from all this coming nonsense. And to your earlier point, we were talking about the robots helping in the factory. It's not just the factory. When Amazon gets efficient, when Tesla gets efficient, the first place they look to add more efficiency is in their own supply chain. The cost of a car, I've seen it posted, oh, it's only 7% of a car's cost is its labor. We saw that number bandied about during the UAW strike. I called BS. I dug into it, and it turns out it's 7% union labor. It doesn't count all the labor that is not union. So once you add in, because that doesn't include all the salaried employees, all the engineers, and it doesn't include anyone in the parts supply chain upstream from them. So that's where the bots will go second, is upstream. Now we can make our blinkers a little cheaper. Now we can make our seats a little cheaper, or our floor mats, whatever it may be. And that's where the savings is going to appear.
Yeah, very good point, Brian. I remember before there was this chart that compared profit per employee, and you're comparing all the car manufacturers' profit per employee. They're going, look how great Ford and GM is. Look how terrible Tesla is. Well, that's because the employees that they have for Ford is not counting all of the supply chain, and they get more parts from other companies, so they don't make it in-house, and so they have less employees.
to distribute the profit over. And it wouldn't surprise me, based on this information that I now have, if Ford and GM were dividing it by labor union. Because remember, all of management, all of the engineering, those are not labor positions. It is only the actual workers on the floor who are labor employees or union employees. So it's just there was so much dishonesty in the union debate. And I tried to caution, if the union gets everything they want, it's going to be a Pyrrhic victory, because the factories will begin shutting down almost immediately. And they did.
So this idea that Tesla has, and I think it's pretty well known, right? Tesla has one of the most efficient factories that are out there. And
Shanghai is 10 million square feet, 9 million square feet, and produces 1 million cars a year. So for every 10 square feet you produce a car a year, that's insane. That's unheard of.
Yeah. I wonder if they can share that knowledge, because it didn't sound like it. Elon and the team laughed a little bit with this idea that they can just license it, or they can teach others, or
I have an answer
copy
for you.
them.
I have an answer. I talked with engineers about this. I said, I showed the BYD factory, the new cajillion square foot factory that's almost complete in China, and said, look, BYD's building what I can only describe as a wartime effort for manufacturing. It looks like the kinds of factories that were put up during World War II, where we just have to build it quickly and get it into production. I said, what they're doing is building lines and lines and lines. What they're not doing is copying Tesla. They're not using a cubic space. They're not using vertical assembly in the way Tesla does. Why? Why are they not doing that? And the answer I got was, what happens if things don't go well for BYD and this asset has to go back into the market? It is such a unique product that it is of no value. So the analogy is, if you and I were to start a new track and field division for competition, we're going to be the next, rival division of, sports. But instead of doing 100-meter and 200-meter, we're going to do 108-meter and 92-meter. Well, what we end up with is stadiums that no one wants. So BYD has to build something that a competitor could take over, that someone else could use without major retrofits, or it becomes a stranded asset.
Oh, it's good knowledge there. That tells you the difference between what Tesla's doing. It's not easily copied, especially now that once you get human robots, it's going to be built specifically for that. And we can't wait till we hear what this the robotaxi, the Cybercab. He talked about the Cybercab line. It's going to blow everyone away, right? It's totally different. It's not a production line. It's a unboxed model. And it's going to be, I think he's referred to it as it's like on a consumer electronics line. It's all automated, and then just through, with very few people needing to get in there, because, like you said, it was designed as such.
The new Cybercab assembly line in Texas is already designed as a no humans allowed zone. Now, you can go in, but the cage, which normally is just, surrounding certain parts of it, no, the whole room's a cage.
Yeah. All right. So let's just finish this off. It's shockingly, CNN, of all places, actually did talk about Tesla being the most American-made car company in the world.
With Elon Musk. I mean, Elon Musk is right that, tariffs or taxes, they can hurt the economy. We've got to have the most productive sector of the economy. But it's also true that, Peter Navarro figuratively took a bullet for Donald Trump. He went to jail for Donald Trump. And that's an amazing act of heroism, in my opinion, to do that rather than rat on what, the president said in secret meetings. So I have some admiration for Peter, and I think it's just perfectly fine that you have this infighting going on, and Trump ultimately will make the decision.
I didn't like that he was denigrating what is actually a really good American manufacturing success story.
Exactly.
The original insult was that Teslas are made of all these foreign components. In fact, Teslas are the most American-made car.
We have the chart, I mean, to prove your point. I mean, they rank basically at the top on all these different metrics for domestic manufacturing, but Elon is still concerned about the tariffs.
So the administration is always talking about, hey, we got to make more stuff here. Let's make things in America. Let's have American-made cars. Well, Elon is actually doing it, and then your guy goes out, Navarro, and craps all over him and lies about the fact that he's actually making cars in America.
And
so
he's making EVs, and all the liberals.
If I were starting a business, I'm calling Elon. That's all I'm saying.
But what is it?
Unbelievable conversation, but that's great. Thank you. Actual facts, actually shared the actual great chart. Tesla is number one. It's like a shockingly, it's like, which is the safest cars in the world? How come these media outlets don't show that it's actually Tesla 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right up in the list? They don't. They find other metrics, but boy.
It's very frustrating. And I know CNN gets a bad reputation, but they don't really deserve it. They're not the partisan hacks that many on the extremes of either side will pretend that they are. And I'm not sure where they got the 82.5% for the Cybertruck. That seems very high. The number I saw a Moroni sticker that said more like 55%, making it the second most American-made pickup truck behind the Honda Ridgeline, which is embarrassing for the big three, but that's kind of what they do, is be embarrassing. Look at the 10, 15, 20% of the parts that are from other countries. It used to not matter as much because a lot of those parts were coming from Mexico and Canada, where we had the USMCA dictated that the parts could flow, that they could cross the border. And now, of course, they've got monumental, breathtaking tariffs that will make the cars more expensive. Tesla's more insulated than most. No one is entirely insulated. There's no such thing as an entirely homegrown vehicle. You can't build that, not in any cost-effective or production-effective method. And I don't understand why we would necessarily need to, unless we're planning another world war.
Last statement that Elon made is this. He said, by any definition whatsoever, Tesla is the most vertically integrated auto manufacturer in America with the highest percentage of U.S. content. Navarro should ask the fake expert he invented, Ron Vera. It is true. It's hilarious that this guy was caught. He actually made a fake expert, which is himself, by the way. Navarro and Ron Vera is anagram. But okay, so there's a focus on this. Most vertically integrated auto manufacturer in America. What's your thoughts on that statement?
100%. Name another car maker that makes their own seats, that doesn't rely on outside manufacturers to make either their entire motors or substantial percentages of the parts that go into their motors. Tesla's design, they pay for the design of batteries. They own 50% own their largest battery plant, and completely own plants in California and Texas, and there will soon be additional battery plants in other places. There's nobody even close. It's not even close. And the benefit is that you get to control everything. You can make agile changes.
Yeah. If you go down the list, it is kind of crazy that Tesla is supposed to be a car company, but yet they make the inference chips that go into the computer in the car. Like, what? It's better than what NVIDIA makes. And that's why they haven't switched using NVIDIA. And they've been doing this for years, right?
Well, they design the chips. They don't make them because I've seen people years ago saying, well, Tesla should build their own chip fab. Look, you think of making a battery factory is hard. Building a chip fab is much harder. But yes, they design their own chips, and that gives them the control. If I need to make a change, I don't need to go out for bid and find out if it can be done and when. I ask the people who designed it, and they tell me what can be done, and they do it. It allows them to be very nimble, very agile, and to move very quickly, and to do things that literally no other car company operating in the U.S. is capable of doing. And Peter
Thank you so much, Brian.
Is dumber than a sack of bricks. I did not know this. I literally had no idea until the last couple of days. Unfortunate.
Thank you so much, Brian. Absolutely brilliant knowledge. You shared so much information that I learned a lot. Thank you. Follow Brian at his channel, FutureAza. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.